Very nice to see you. Nice to see you. Not so nice to see you, but I think you already knew that. Do you hear them outside? The truckers for Trump? They're still honking their horns for their president. It's a beautiful thing to see. And when we drove in, so many, even in a Democrat city, even in a nasty Democrat city, there was so much, I would say love, and we can hear it still. So many. And the truckers for Trump, we got to thank our vice president. Thank you, Mike, who has done so much unbelievable work at truck stops over the last 4 years. So much powerful outreach. So thank you, Mike. Thank you. Dear white American citizens and other people currently in our country who will now have a field day with the radical left presidential agenda of Sleepy Joe Biden, I speak to you tonight to address the results from the first round of presidential voting. While it seems that I am now behind in the Electoral College, this is just the first round of voting. I will concede that the first round has Sleepy Joe ahead of me by a very small margin, much less than what I destroyed Crooked Hillary Clinton on 4 years ago. We now will challenge the results of illegal ballots. Illegal, okay? Illegal. Our democracy, you know it, we want to support all legal ballots, all of them, every single one. It would be a horrible thing to see one legal ballot not count. It would be a disgrace. It would be bad. But any illegal votes, we have to shut down. We have to shut down the illegal votes, okay? That shouldn't be controversial. Everybody's acting like this is some sort of bad thing. It's a very right thing to do. We are confident that when we challenge these illegal ballots, which include ballots that I don't like, that support Sleepy Joe, or that possibly came in after a deadline despite being okay under state rules, we will be challenging them in our Supreme Court, okay? We're going to go to the Supreme Court, and I've done so great on judges. The Federalist Society, these great people, these angry sort of conservative people, they gave me a list when I was running for president, when I was crusading against rapist Mexicans, and they said, "Sir, here's a list, sir," and I circled a couple of names on the list. You know, I don't... Obama was sort of one of those nerdy people. He would read the cases, and he was a professor. I just looked at the list. I said, you know what sounds like a strong name? Brett Kavanaugh. Sounds tough. Turns out he was very tough. You know? Just, you go back to high school. He's been tough since high school. Never took no for an answer. And that's what I wanted from a judge. Neil Gorsuch. We thought it was Gorsuch. And Mike, I remember Mike said, "Suck?" And I said, okay, I guess you want that one. So we picked Neil Gorsuch, who turned out to be a little bit more nerdy than Brett, but okay, still a pretty solid justice. And then I circled a third name, and I saw Cone. It sounded sort of, I saw Cones, and I thought of, some magazines, and it was Amy Coney Barrett, who now goes by the name, by the way, of Trump. That's her new name. And she assured me that she would vote very strong. She didn't. I misspoke. You misheard. I didn't misspeak. You misheard. She said she would, she wouldn't want to talk about anything with me, but I felt confident that she would throw out all the illegal votes. So while the process goes through the courts, we will only offer a partial concession speech. You can't concede the whole thing. Conceding the whole thing is how stupid. You would concede the whole thing, but how stupid would that be? We have all these votes. Our great military is voting right now. We have to count the military votes. We're not conceding fully. This is a sort of it's called a partial concession speech, okay? Because I want to thank people. I want to thank people. Is that okay by you? I think it's okay. First, I want to thank, as I already have, our great Vice President, Mike Pence, okay? You might have been the bottom of the ticket, Mike, but you were the most powerful bottom I think this country has ever seen, and I thank you for it. You rallied the evangelicals to me, and I can't thank you enough for that, because I wouldn't have been able to convince, as a New Yorker who has never been to church, thinks religion is stupid, and has committed numerous crimes of both financial and sexual natures. I could have never convinced these Eucharist and Mountain Dew for brains idiots to vote for me. But you got them, Mike. You got them, and I thank you for that, so thank you. I want to thank Bill Barr. Bill Barr. I didn't like him at first because he was fat, but it turns out underneath all that heart attack waiting to happen was a very powerful, it's called the unitary executive theory. This guy thinks basically the president can do anything he wants, anytime he wants, as long as he's a Republican president. And I said, that's a good theory. So thank you, Bill. Thank you. Thank you very much. You've been a true warrior, gassing protesters and just being my little fat rock of legal power. I want to thank OAN and also Fox. We'll thank Fox a little bit. OAN, you have been such a breath of fresh air, okay? You were like Fox News, who I respect, was like the wife who you get tired of. You still respect, but you get tired of her. And you were like the new girl from Tampa who lets you do butt stuff. So I thank you so much. You breathed new life into the journalism profession, and I look forward to working with you when I buy you and sexually harassing many of your employees. So thank you, OAN. Thank you. I want to thank all two of my children. Ivanka, you get hotter every day. And I say that, as a parent. I say that as a parent, as a great father. You get hotter every day, and you inspire me to wake up and be a more powerful and ruthless man in the hopes that I can impress you. So thank you for inspiring me. And my other son, my son, Don Jr., your energy is so powerful on the campaign trail. It seems like it's almost pharmacological. It's a from the pharmacies, like the drugs. You have been inspiring, and you have finally, after 42 years on this planet, finally given me hope. What? You're 43? Well, okay. Well, we're not counting the first year. I didn't even want to keep you, to be honest. I didn't even want to have him. Okay? I told Ivana, I said, it's going to ruin your body. And what if he's a loser? Don't you dare name him Don Jr. But she did. She did. And that's why she's not with me anymore. I am finally proud to call you my son, even though when you run in 2024, I will probably endorse Tom Cotton or Josh Hawley. I want to thank the rap people who went above and beyond. Nobody thought I could win African American votes, okay? Lincoln, Lincoln. He was okay. Abraham Lincoln, who is often held as the greatest Republican president of all time, I disagree, never received a single African American vote his entire time. He ran twice. Never got one African American vote. I, on the other hand, received 18% of black male votes, okay? And I want to thank the rap people, Ice Cube, for joining our campaign so late but bringing such profound ignorance that it had to have convinced at least some African American men that I was the better option for them than Sleepy Joe. I want to thank Lil Wayne. We couldn't get Big Wayne, but we settled on Lil Wayne, and he provided a big punch to our campaign bars. Then we have to talk about Lil Pimp, who was you know, he was there. He was there. We respect him, and he did very strong things. And of course, last but definitely not least, is Kanye West, who has been a profound supporter and also secured tens of thousands of votes in various states, possibly denying Sleepy Joe an even bigger early electoral college vote. So thank you, Kanye. Thank you. We thank Kanye very much. And anytime he wants me to free more blacks from prison, just tell him to bring his nice wife and a tight dress into the Oval Office, and we'll discuss freeing a lot more than some blacks. But most importantly, I want to thank the American people. Over 70 million people, more, by the way, than any Republican in history, supported my vision for the country of low taxes, blindly picking judges I've never heard of, proclaiming faith that I never believed in, and demonizing immigrants, African Americans, women, and anybody else who did not subscribe to our powerful MAGA agenda. It is such a powerful agenda, and it's not going anywhere, by the way. You better believe it's not going anywhere. I supported our coal industry and also our oil and gas industry, and I have to tell you, coal, we did horribly by you. But thank you for the votes anyway. Coal is still going away. Hillary, Crooked Hillary, we called her Crooked Hillary. She was totally right about the coal industry, about my ties to Russia, and everything else. But because of your powerful stupidity and also a deep-seated hatred of things like blacks, immigrants, computers, books, and smiles, it turns out you powered one of the great revolutions in this country. Because of you, we were able to set this country back perhaps decades, and because, a special thank you, by the way, that ghoulish creep Mitch McConnell has basically killed any chance for our country to have real progress in the next 30 to 40 years. So thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Mitch. I know you're in your coffin right now, but thank you. It's almost dusk in Kentucky, so you'll be able to come out soon. We love that. I did a tremendous job with COVID, as long as you think the equivalent of mass murder is a good job. We are still losing people by the thousands, and we have had record numbers of cases throughout this week. Here's the thing. They don't care about COVID. They think they're invincible. They do the bath salts, they do Mountain Dew, and they pray. That is my coalition, okay? And if they want to go out there and get COVID, it's called freedom. It's called freedom, and I stood very strongly for freedom. But I must say, my greatest accomplishment was giving us the greatest economy the country has ever seen, until we had the worst economy the country had ever seen. You'll never do this, but if you ignore the bad economy, I had the greatest economy in the history of money. Even before, when they would trade chickens, I had better economy than that. But beyond all my powerful accomplishments, like dividing the nation, making us stupider, and spreading conspiracy theories, I would like to say a special thank you to who I think is the best third first lady in the history of our country, and her name is Metamorphosis. Can you stand up, do a little turn for everybody? Thank you. Your Be Best campaign was one of the greatest initiatives to never do a single thing, and I admire you greatly. And also, you've been served. They just served you with divorce papers. Now that I'm not in the White House, she just turned 50 this year. Do you realize how many women are out there in these southern states, these co-eds, these SEC girls, that would love to be the fourth Mrs. Trump? So if I'm not going to be in office, I don't have, the president you can't get divorced, sir. Darling, if I'm not president anymore, I can get a divorce. So thank you for your service, mesothelioma, and you will we'll arrange first-class travel back to your shipping container and send you back to Transylvania to be refurbished and probably sent off to some sheik in the Middle East, okay? But we thank you. Be best. So in conclusion, this is my first level concession speech to Sleepy Joe Biden. But once the courts or the Electoral College, when we rig that, come back in favor of a Trump presidency, I will retract this through executive order very strongly, and you'll have 4 to 12 more years of President Donald Trump. But I will say this to all of you. I have been the greatest thing to ever happen to you. The greatest thing. I'm the greatest thing to ever happen to the Republican Party. They're not a party of values. They're not a party of really anything. They're a party of power. And I just got so many senators and representatives elected and 70 million plus votes. No Republican's ever done that. If you care about the values of the Republican Party, I'm one of the worst things to ever happen. But if it's about raw power, which I like because I don't like condoms, I won so big league. But on top of that, books. Nobody even likes books, but they bought so many books when I was president. It was sort of crazy. I was like, do people even read these things? They're like boring movies that take too long. But you've all made so much money. The failing New York Times will go back to failing, but you succeeded with me. You succeeded with me, didn't you? So I say this in the words of one of the great heroes of all time. I'm going to quote 2 great heroes. The first is a Cuban who loved me very strongly. As the great Tony Montana said, "Look at you, you can't even have any kids. Your womb is so polluted." That was for you, Melatonin. Say goodnight to the bad guy. Remember when he said that? Say goodnight to the bad guy. And the other one is from an inspiring film from Mel Gibson, who in a second term I would appoint to the Supreme Court for his strong views and strong pro-life. To paraphrase Braveheart, COVID may take your lives, but it will never take my freedom. Thank you very much, everybody. You'll miss me. Good night.